I am free, I am unlimited. There are no chains that bind me. I am free, I am unlimited. Right now, right now. I am free, I am unlimited. There are no chains that bind me. I am free, I am unlimited. Right now, right now. I am free, I am unlimited. There are no chains that bind me. I am free, I am unlimited. Right now, right now. I am free, I am unlimited. There are no chains that bind me. I am free, I am unlimited. Right now, right now.
Thank you, Don. Thank you, everybody, for your beautiful voices. Yes. Oh, it's wonderful to be here this morning. And welcome to those folks who are on Zoom with us this morning as well. So I thank you for taking time out of your day to be here in the flesh. And we know that those who are watching us this morning, in fact, I had two friends who live in town who were going to be here this morning, and they texted on my way up and said one of them was sick, so they were not able to be here. So I was already holding Lucy in the light that she would be well. So love those glasses. You wondered if I was going to notice. Well, hey, guess what I brought this morning? Guess what I brought just for Darlene? What a wonderful way to start out. How many of you were here last month when I did part 1 of Toxic Spirituality? Okay. Well, I was going to do a recap, just a really brief one anyhow, to give folks who are here, as well as those who might be listening for the first time, a context for what the heck it is I'm talking about. And toxic spirituality is not something we often hear about. In fact, I think when I spoke last time, very few people were aware of what I was talking about. Especially in this teaching, we're always the law of mind action, what we hold in our thoughts, we're going to create out here. And the power of the mind and, truly what we can create with it. But what can happen in this teaching, and not just this teaching, but in a lot of philosophies that are all about positivity, is we have a tendency at times to forget what Pierre Teilhard told us about, which is we are spiritual beings having a what? Human experience. Therefore, we are going to experience emotions. We're going to have days and moments when it's not going to feel so good, okay? And what I learned early on in this teaching, and it was just what I was exposed to, and my negativity bias went in that direction because it really matched my belief of low self-worth, my belief of no self-esteem, and, kind of the worm of the dust thing that I kind of grew up with. And people would, often say, well, be careful what you're thinking, and I'm like, oh, okay, all right. And so if I would start to share something with someone in my human experience, it would go, oh, cancel. Get over it. Move on. Don't do that. Because what you think and what you're feeling, you're going to draw more of that to you. Okay? And that is a lot of disinformation and misinformation, in my opinion, and in the opinion of many, many other folks who are now finally bringing toxic spirituality, call it spiritual bypassing, toxic positivity, gaslighting, all of that. Because we're going to have those human experiences, but the difference is we can choose, because that was the word today, choose. We can choose, become very mindful of what we're doing with the experience when it arrives. That's where our power lies. And in the human moment of something happening, we may just have a day that really, is sucky. I mean, nothing's going right. It's just like what can go wrong is going wrong. And if you go, well, I just need to get over it. It's not really happening. I'm not going to address it because I've got to stay positive. I've got to stay positive. So there's a fine line, and who you surround yourself with makes a huge difference as well. So the toxic positivity and spiritual bypassing and toxic spirituality, there was a little bit of research, and it basically is saying it's based on the belief that negative emotions are bad, as I was saying a minute ago, and by always thinking happy thoughts, even when they're not authentic. That's called denial. Okay, and denial is not a river in Egypt. In this case, it's like happening, okay? So you're like, okay, I can deny, and I know in Science of Mind, that was my first entry into New Thought spirituality. And in Science of Mind, it was like, oh, denials and affirmations. I'm going to acknowledge this is happening, but I'm going to deny that it has the power over me. That's the difference, okay? So I'm acknowledging it, but I'm also allowing myself to know that it's going to have whatever power I give to it. And chances are, if my BS, my belief system, and my subconscious is anchored in fear, I'm going to be drawn to that, and I'm going to give it a lot of power. Okay, so that's basically, in a bigger nutshell, what toxic spirituality is. And I will finish reading this definition. Based on the belief that negative emotions are bad, and by always thinking happy thoughts, even when they aren't authentic, we can instantly elevate ourselves from any situation, no matter how challenging. We are inclined to repress our negative emotions, which results in, like I said, denial, and we invalidate our human experience. That's huge. You know, I don't know how a lot of you grew up. I certainly know that trying to express, probably this is real common, especially for us elders, most of us elders here today, growing up in an environment that said, oh, well, you've got a feeling, well, don't tell me about it. You know, you need to suck it up and move on. And kids I grew up with seen not to be heard kind of thing. So, you know, we learn early on with our programming and our conditioning, well, if I got a feeling and if it's not something that somebody is wanting to hear, I need to stuff it. And that's what we've learned to do, and we've learned to do that as adults as well. But anyway, we're inclined to repress our negative emotions, resulting in denial and invalidation and the minimalization of the human experience. That's what I was saying. And I will even go so far, and I wanted to really bring this up today, because even leaders, I love the Dalai Lama, okay, and all that he's about. I mean, he's just got that smile, that Dalai Lama smile. But he has even said, anger is not a good thing. You do not want to feel anger. That's not okay. And I remember before thinking, oh my gosh, I grew up with so much anger. I did not know you could have a conversation with somebody without arguing, without getting angry. I didn't know that was possible. So I really did a lot of work on learning to manage and then finally healing places within me, because I had a really bad temper and I could get angry in a heartbeat. It didn't take much because I was living my life on the defensive all the time. In the what? The fear consciousness, the victim consciousness. Life is happening to me, not what? For me, okay? So a lot of this today is really the part two of this talk is how do we begin to live life differently? What do we do if these are practices that we are engaging in? And I would dare to say there isn't anybody here who isn't living with some gaslighting or bypassing or toxic spirituality. Whether you're continuing to do it yourself, I know I don't like the phrase work in progress anymore, but it's a process, and that's why I'll say it. We're in process. It can sound like, oh, just get over it, right? Everything happens for a reason. That was one of my go-tos all the time. Divine order is always at hand. Well, I believe that it is. But if something is happening to someone, do they need to hear that from me? Oh, well, At least they didn't die. They're still alive. So think about, for a moment, how you live your life. How do you express your humanity in this very moment? What are you more inclined to say to someone? Is it from a place of that automatic response of what I was just saying? Oh, everything happens for a reason. It's all in divine order. They become cliches, and there's the lack of empathy, compassion, understanding of the what? Human experience. But we can still, like I said, know these things. Yes, do I believe there's a presence and power in, around, and through all things? And that this divine intelligence is always in operation and things are unfolding in divine timing? That's what I ascribe to for me. So, do I go, well, if it's all in divine order, Jeanie, and everything's unfolding, why would I not say that to somebody? It's all in divine order. There's something called discernment. There's also a lot to be said for spiritual maturity. Okay? And allowing yourself to develop filters, different default I call it your divine default. That's for me, how I like to language it, rather than my human default, which is going to be that automatic thing, and then it crosses over into my spiritual, wonderful spiritual, perfect self, and my spiritual arrogance, standing here and telling you, oh yeah, you come to me, I'm going to tell you all of those spiritual cliches, and you're going to walk away feeling like, wow, that was really fun with Jeanie. Now I feel even worse than I did before, right? So, good old toxic spirituality. And certainly, we're wired for negativity as human beings. Somebody could you could go through a day and have 20 compliments. You could have one not so great thing said to you, and you're going to go home, and what are you going to think about? The one thing that somebody said to you. But ultimately, we are wired for positivity. So we have to do a lot of unwiring and refiring, like neuroplasticity. You've heard me talk about that before. So we are always in the position of being at choice. We get to decide which way we want to navigate something and how we want to go about doing it. I love this quote by Rumi. Your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it. That's really what it's all about. Because I ascribe to the belief that we are love incarnate. We are the embodiment of it. And I used to think that was like, ooh, I don't know. That's I used to think not just through me, but what? As me. And I'd go, well, who do you think you are to say something like that? And then I would listen to people like Michael Beckwith many years ago. Any of you familiar with Michael Beckwith? A couple people, some heads, okay. I actually have had the privilege to see him probably almost a half a dozen times, okay? But I saw him in person, and actually this was, he signed this for me. This was in 2009, January of 2009. And I thought, let me just, in just a couple words, but it's so powerful because Michael really has a way with words. If you've never heard him speak before, oh, he is just incredible. Jeanie, flow and flower. You notice flow is in the flower for the divine. That was it. Short and sweet. Because when you are in the flow, you are one with flow. And those obstacles, and what Rumi was saying, find all the barriers within you and be willing to dive in there and heal those and dissolve those. You will be one with flow. You won't be living from a consciousness of fear. You will be returning to what? Your natural state of love. And as I'm standing here saying this to you, I get this just right down the back of my spine and through every cell in my body. It just is tingling and reminding me to remind you. If you forget your truth, ask. Ask, is there a higher power that you believe in? Is there a presence and power that you ascribe to in your life? And if you say yes to that, how often do you take the time to connect with it? To remember that you are it. It's not out here. So the way you navigate, the way you heal, and that's what it's about. It's about healing, going inside. The other quote by Rumi, the wound is where the light enters you. It's like the crack in the sidewalk, and the light gets in. And what happens? What springs forth? Some expression of this creative divine intelligence that I believe, I know I do sometimes, that we take for granted. We really do. And that's not a criticism, it's an awareness. That's all of what happens in the what? Human experience. And if you find yourself spending time berating yourself, criticizing yourself for your human experience, then I invite you to offer yourself some grace. Yeah, like God does. Grace. Self-compassion. Kindness. Those frequencies and energies that help to dissolve, to deconstruct the barriers that you have knowingly and most of the time unknowingly built. You are powerful more than you will ever know. At times, I know that you can connect with it if you haven't already, to truly have that beyond a reawakening. It's a remembrance. I'll call it a recognition, because then I can go into cognize, recognize, recognition, a knowing. That's beyond just believing it. It's a knowing in the core of you. It's solid. It's stable. It's anchored. What a cool place to live from. And if you find yourself watching what's going on in the world out there, and you find yourself, going down the stream or up the stream or whatever direction you go in, okay, who knows? I know it's like, oh, gee, I was like, nope, let me come back. And sometimes it's like, how did I get down here? What's going to bring you back? You've got to have the awareness that it's even happening. Yes? Without the awareness, how can you change it? How can you alter your course? Say like you're in a boat. I'm not a boat person, but whatever. Say you're in a boat and you put it on, do you put boats on automatic pilot? I don't know, like a plane? I have no idea. But we'll pretend this boat has automatic pilot. An automatic mate up there steering the boat. And you go off and you do your thing, okay? And you're just kind of enjoying the water and whatever you're doing on the boat and the sun and doing your sun thing. And all of a sudden, you come back and you're like, where the heck are we? Right? And you're like, how do we get so far off course? Imagine that. Do you ever put your life on autopilot sometimes? And you don't tend to it? And I get it about having trust and faith and knowing that, yeah, the God that I believe in's got my back. It's got my front, my sides, my body, everything. I can't go wrong. But what? I need to pay attention. I need to be very clear. Right? So I can, and it's not about arriving at the destiny because, the cliche, it's about the journey, when it really is. But if I'm wanting to optimize, we'll use that word, optimize my spiritualness, if you will, optimize my spiritual health and fitness, I need to pay attention. For you computer folks, which I'm not one of those either, there's something called what? You optimize your computer. That's it. You optimize your computer. They do an optimization. Do they still use that word for computers? I don't know. They did a few years ago, so I'm just going to go with that. Because I took mine in, and it was what? Slowing down, right? And it was spinning and spinning. Anybody ever feel like that in your life? Well, they say, I don't know where I'm going, but I'm just spinning, and it can feel sluggish and slow. So what? You take it to the computer people. I love my computer people. They're called Power PC. I like it. So you take it in, and mine actually, the hard drive had gone bad on mine. Wonderful analogies, yeah? Well, sometimes our hard drive gets a little hinky, wouldn't you say, right? Or what's the other thing? What's going to happen when Windows 11 finally says, okay, we're it, and those of us who still have 10, unless you have a Mac, we're over here with this other operating system, right? But we need to, what's the word? Upgrade. Yeah, it's time for a freaking spiritual upgrade, right? But what do you have to do? You've got to take out the old program, yes? And what? Install a new one. Go figure. I didn't know I was going to go in this direction. I don't talk computers. I've got all this other stuff that's like, okay. But the analogy, I think, is spot on. So my question would be, what do you do to optimize your operating system? I see blank faces looking back at me right now. What do you do? That's a question for you to take home and ponder. Contemplate. Contemplation, yes, is a wonderful, wonderful tool to optimize your consciousness, to have it operate in such a way that you're what? Streaming, you're flowing, right? At the whatever gig of speed, the God gig of speed, right? So that when something happens, you get that divine download. And you're not like, well, my thing's still spinning because I've got an old program. Right? I'm going to have to write a book about this. I'm like, where did this come from? I have no idea. Anyway. So the four things I had written to Danny about what my talk would focus on this morning, and because I'm keeping track of the time so I don't talk too long. Anyway, self-awareness, I've already covered that, yes? You've got to know what's going on before you can take action about it. Okay, I've already covered that. Self-honesty. Oh, I need to talk about this for a minute. Yeah? Okay. Because I said earlier, I already mentioned denial. We know how to fool ourselves. We know how to lie to ourselves. We know how to play the game. Because nobody knows you better than you. Yeah? And you could have that part of you that's like going, yeah, I really know what I need to be doing. And then the other part of you is like, not today. Oh, let's wait until the infamous tomorrow. We've got other things that are a priority. Yeah? Anybody else ever do that? Okay. But doesn't the universe have a wonderful way to kind of bring it back to your face and go, I tried to get your attention? And I go, yeah, you did. I fess up. Fess up, right? Confess. I fess up. So, when I am not being honest with myself, all kinds of things can happen. And it just opens a door for a lot of extraneous stuff to get in there. And it kind of messes with you. Yeah. It's an energy and a frequency that really kind of, ooh, there's a blip. And there's a blip. And after a few blips, you're like, oh, wow, okay. So again, it's about bringing yourself back with self-awareness, self-honesty, and responsibility. Being willing to say yes. I own my choices. Good, bad, indifferent. I own them all. Or the other direction. No, it really wasn't my doing. It was that and that. And the world out there, if they would just get their act together, oh, I could feel so much better. And I would make better choices. So let me just point, not just my finger, let me point everything at that out there, or a particular person. And, well, you know, when I was 10 years old, that experience happened, and it still got power over me today. I'm not saying don't awaken to that knowing. What I am saying, if that comes up for you, what is it calling you to do? Yeah. And we go, no. Because as humans, we get afraid to feel those emotions sometimes. That can be very traumatizing. There's no denying that. I mean, I'm a counselor. I get it. I mean, my first internship was at a battered women's shelter, for goodness sakes. You talk about jumping in head first into a crisis scenario. Yeah. But it's being willing to say, you know what? I am this divine expression of the Most High. I am worthy. I don't have to earn it. I'm already worthy. So let me honor myself and say yes, you know, with the guidance and support of the right people or whatever it is that I know is already out there, I can say yes. I want to go in here and I want to heal these unprocessed emotions and return to a place of wholeness, of holiness. And live my life, express my divine nature from that place. Then the bypassing and the toxic positivity and all of that, it'll fall away. It'll fall away. So one of the biggest tools I'm going to invite you to use, because I could say to you, yes, in unity, prayer, and meditation, you've heard me say that a million times. Okay, we already know that. But what I'm going to offer you this morning, just in the next few minutes, and that's why I held up this book by Michael Beckwith. This is called the 40-Day Mind Fast Soul Feast. Okay? How many of you are familiar with any, like intermittent fasting, any kind of fasting? Okay? I know I'm doing a number of different things in my life. But I wanted to introduce this to you so that you can maybe open yourself up to the possibility of doing a spiritual detox. Yeah? A spiritual cleanse. And I will even go further and say, how about a freaking spiritual colonic? Whoa! Right? Anybody ever had a colonic before? Not many. It's quite different. No doubt about it. But the point is that I'm trying to emphasize with you right now is we want to get in there and flush that crap out. We want to flush out that BS, a belief system, all right? We want to flush it all out so that what? We are no longer toxic ourselves. Whether it's optimization with the computer or you saying, you know, I want to go on a fast. And ideally, you would do that with the guidance of someone who knows what they're doing. You know, you may have an idea, but I would encourage you to get some support around that. And it might be the case with this as well. But as Michael talks about in his book, The Detox. So it's an invitation, it's an immersion, and it's an infusion. And I love to say of the Holy Spirit. That energy that transmutes, alchemizes, you've heard my talks on alchemy. It takes what is there and changes it, allows it to actually be broken down and moved out of you. But again, you have to say to yourself, I choose to be an active participant. To say, yes, I choose to have this make a difference in my life so that I can be expressing as my authentic divine self and be of service. Seva, the Hindu word for service, selfless service, because that's what I believe we're here to do. And when we are clogged up and we are toxic, nothing's flowing through us, or it's very impeded, it's very challenging to do that. And how, as I mentioned earlier, how we will respond out there is going to be very different. We will be more reactive than responsive, taking responsibility. We have the ability to respond. So detox and what I like to call the sacred pause. I invite you to develop the pause as a tool in your daily life. If something happens, somebody says something to you, you've already worked with yourself enough to know, okay, I'm feeling something, something's happening. Immediately, what do I need to do? Let me just pause. Do I need to respond in this moment? No, it's your choice. You hit the pause button and you give yourself whatever it is you need in that moment, whether it's to walk away from a situation, whether it's to say, I can't do this right now, I will do this later. Whatever it is, everybody's different. But the pause is one of the most powerful tools you can have in your spiritual and in your human toolbox. So you're fasting so you can feast on life and truly enjoy every step of your journey. Found this quote last night. Fall in love with taking care of yourself. Would you feel so inclined to wrap your arms around yourself right now? If you're okay doing that. If not, you don't have to, but it's kind of cool if you've never done it. And then switch them. Ooh, got a double hug. Fall in love with taking care of yourself. Fall in love with the path of deep healing. Fall in love with becoming the best version of yourself. But with patience, compassion, and respect to your journey. To heal is to touch with love that which we previously touched with fear. So allow your magnificent, amazing, divine self. Give it the room and the space and the grace to be all, and even then some, of what it was created to be, as only you can do that. The divine just sincerely, its greatest desire is to express as you in the totality of the whole, because only you can bring your unique expression to the divine with all of it, remember? Not only the good stuff, no, all of you. The shadows, the light, everything. You are loved just as you are, all of it, with every breath you breathe. And so it is.
I will forgive myself. I will see things right. brother and way shower, Christ within revealing the kingdom within me. I want to see things right, no need to set things right. I will forgive myself, I will see things right.
I invite you now, as we go into this time of communion, this time of connection, reconnection perhaps, opening ourselves this morning as we feel ready to do so. If that's not a place you're in, that's okay. But I invite you to allow your breath right now to breathe you so deeply and fully, more than it ever has before. In this amazing physical body that you inhabit, that your soul travels around in, allow it right now to receive this beloved breath, nourishing you with oxygen to enhance your human experience, to enrich your adventure moment by moment. Invite this breath in right now, asking it, allowing it to unwind whatever is there that is ready to be loosened, whatever is there that's ready to let go and fall away. Whether it's in your physical muscles that you're feeling tension, any discomfort that you may have this morning in your physical body. Open to that flow of this divine breath. Let the power of it pulsate through your body like a powerful river. Imagine that flow of your breath and the blood through your veins in this physical experience right now. Allow those energies to permeate through every cell, every atom, every molecule. To penetrate through all that residual stuff that is so ready to be released. Allow the flow to flush you out this morning, creating space in this amazing vessel, in this channel where the Spirit desires to flow. Open to it and say, yes, I am open, I am willing, I allow. I want to receive this flow and let it clear me out. So I'm optimized, I'm upgraded, I'm uplifted in my faith. I'm clear in my truth. I'm grounded to the source of all that is. I am plugged in and I allow myself to be the greatest expression as me in my unique, authentic self. A new version this morning is desiring to be birthed as you. And I invite you to accept that invitation. And if you're not ready, as I said earlier, that's okay. Give yourself permission to be right where you are. But this love that you are desires to continue expanding, to filling you to overflowing in every moment. It invites you to no longer play small and to step up and out, to spread your wings and to fly. So breathing in fully and deeply, filling your body, releasing on that exhale, letting all that no longer serves you fall away. In this moment of now, we choose to say yes to the power of love and know that we are it. We are that very power and essence. And so it is.
Even though you don't have the words in front of you, why don't you join me on I want to see things right? Pretty easy. I want to see things right. No need to set things right. I will forgive myself. I will see things right. I want to see things right. No need to set things right. I will forgive myself. I will see things right. Once more. I want to see things right. No need to set things right. I will forgive myself. I will see